First contact. The sleek, silver spacecraft touched down silently in a remote field, its cloaking technology rendering it invisible to Earth's primitive detection systems. Inside, anthropologist Zara of the Galactic Research Institute took a deep breath, her iridescent skin shimmering with anticipation. This was it. First contact with the species known as humans. Well, first official contact. Her people had been observing Earth for centuries, fascinated by its inhabitants' rapid technological progress and bewildering social structures. Now, it was time for a more hands-on approach. Zara activated her holographic disguise, her tall, willowy form shrinking and morphing into that of an average human female. She had spent years studying Earth's languages and customs, but nothing could truly prepare her for direct interaction with these fascinating creatures. As she stepped out of the ship, the assault on her senses was immediate. The air was thick with unfamiliar scents, organic, chaotic, alive. The sounds of nature surrounded her, a cacophony of birdsong and rustling leaves, and the colors. Her home world was all sleek metals and muted tones. Earth was a riot of greens and blues and browns. Zara made her way towards the nearest human settlement, a small town on the outskirts of a larger city. Her mission was clear: observe and document human social interactions, with a particular focus on their reproductive practices. The Galactic Research Institute had been puzzled for years by humans' seemingly inefficient and emotionally driven approach to procreation. As she entered the town, Zara was immediately struck by the variety of human forms. Tall, short, wide, thin, in every shade imaginable. How did they manage to be a single species with such diversity? And the way they moved. So much unnecessary motion, gesticulating wildly as they spoke, touching each other casually in greeting. Zara found herself a quiet corner in a local establishment called a coffee shop and began her observations. Two humans at a nearby table caught her attention. They were leaning close, speaking in low voices, their eyes locked on each other. Zara's universal translator picked up their conversation. "I've missed you so much," the female said, her hand reaching across to touch the male's arm. "I know these business trips are killing me, but I'm here now," the male replied, his voice warm with an emotion Zara couldn't quite identify. Fascinating. They seemed to be a mated pair, yet they spoke of separation. On Zara's world, mated pairs were assigned based on genetic compatibility and rarely spent time apart. The concept of missing one's mate was foreign. As Zara continued to watch, the pair's behavior became even more puzzling. They pressed their mouths together in what her research had identified as a kiss, a practice that seemed terribly unhygienic to Zara. Yet they both seemed to enjoy it, their heart rates increasing and pupils dilating. "Excuse me," a voice interrupted Zara's observations. She looked up to see a human female standing by her table, smiling. "Is this seat taken?" Zara blinked, momentarily flustered. She hadn't anticipated direct interaction so soon. "No, it is not taken," she managed to reply, proud of how natural she sounded. The human sat down, still smiling. "I'm Sarah. I couldn't help but notice you seemed a bit lost in thought. New in town." Zara nodded, seizing the opportunity for more direct research. "Yes, I am visiting. Studying human behavior, actually." Sarah's eyebrows rose. "Oh, anthropologist. That's fascinating. Any particular area of focus?" Zara hesitated for a moment, then decided honesty was the best approach. "I am particularly interested in human reproductive practices and pair bonding." To Zara's surprise, Sarah laughed. "Well, you've certainly picked an interesting subject. I assume you're looking at the cultural and social aspects, not just the biology." Zara tilted her head, intrigued. "There is a difference." Sarah's smile widened. "Oh, honey, you have no idea. Human reproduction and relationships are about so much more than just biology. There's love, attraction, compatibility. It's complicated." Love. There was that word again. Zara had encountered it in her research, but its meaning remained elusive. Could you elaborate on this concept of love? She asked, trying to keep the eagerness out of her voice. Zara leaned back, a thoughtful expression on her face. Love is, well, it's hard to define. It's a feeling, an emotion. It's what makes you want to be with someone, to share your life with them. It's what makes your heart race when you see them, what makes you happy just being in their presence. Zara frowned slightly. But how does this contribute to successful reproduction? Surely genetic compatibility is more important. Zara laughed again, but kindly. Oh, sweetie, for humans, reproduction isn't just about passing on genes. It's about creating a family, sharing a deep connection with someone. Love is what makes us want to have children with someone, to create a new life together. This was all so different from what Zara had expected. On her world, reproduction was a clinical process done out of duty to the species. The idea of it being driven by emotion, by this nebulous concept of love, was revolutionary. As Sarah continued to talk, Zara found herself more and more fascinated. Humans, it seemed, built their entire societies around these emotional connections. They formed family units, friendships, romantic partnerships, all based on feelings rather than logical compatibility. It was inefficient, chaotic, and utterly captivating. As the day wore on, Zara said goodbye to Sarah, her mind whirling with new information. She had expected to study human reproduction from a biological standpoint. Instead, she found herself diving into a complex web of emotions, social norms, and cultural practices. Back in her hidden spacecraft that evening, Zara sent her first report back to the Galactic Research Institute. Preliminary observations suggest human reproductive practices are far more complex than initially believed, she wrote. Their approach appears highly inefficient and emotionally driven, yet has resulted in a remarkably resilient and adaptable species. Further study is required to understand the role of love and other emotions in human pair bonding and reproduction. As she prepared for her second day of research, Zara felt a strange flutter in her chest. Was this excitement? Anticipation? For the first time in her career, she felt truly challenged. Humans, with all their messy emotions and illogical behaviors, were proving to be far more interesting than she had ever imagined. Little did Zara know, her adventure on Earth was just beginning. The following days would bring discoveries that would shock her, challenge everything she thought she knew, and ultimately lead her to question her own society's approach to life and love. As she drifted off to sleep, her last thought was of Zara's warm smile and kind eyes. Perhaps, Zara mused, there was something to this human way of forming connections after all. The discovery. Zara awoke to the soft chime of her bio-alarm, her iridescent skin pulsing with a gentle glow. As she prepared for another day of research on Earth, she couldn't shake the lingering excitement from yesterday's discoveries. Humans, it seemed, were far more complex than her initial briefings had suggested. As she activated her holographic disguise and stepped out into the bustling streets of the small town, Zara's attention was immediately drawn to a shop with a peculiar pink neon sign. The window display featured an array of oddly shaped objects that Zara couldn't quite categorize. Intrigued, she decided to investigate. A small bell chimed as she entered the shop, and Zara was immediately overwhelmed by the sheer variety of unfamiliar items surrounding her. The walls were lined with shelves displaying everything from small, egg-shaped devices to larger, more elaborate contraptions. Some vibrated, some glowed, and others seemed to change shape at the touch of a button. "Welcome to Pleasure Palace. Can I help you find anything specific?" A cheerful voice called out. Zara turned to see a human with bright blue hair and multiple piercings smiling at her from behind a counter. I'm not sure," Zara stammered, still taking in the overwhelming array of objects. "What exactly are these items?" The shop attendant, whose Namatag read Alex, raised an eyebrow. "First time in a sex toy shop, huh? No worries, we get that a lot. These are all designed for pleasure and intimacy enhancement. Some are for solo play, others for couples or groups. What's your fancy?" Zara's mind raced. Sex toys, pleasure enhancement. This was far beyond anything she had encountered in her research so far. Could these be the key to understanding human reproduction? I'm particularly interested in reproductive technology, Zara said carefully, trying to maintain her cover. Do you have anything that aids in that process? Alex's eyes widened slightly, but their professional demeanor never faltered. Well, while these aren't exactly designed for reproduction in the biological sense, many couples do use toys to enhance intimacy, which can certainly play a role in the baby-making process. How about I show you some of our couple's favorites? For the next hour, Zara was given a crash course in human sexuality that left her reeling. Alex patiently explained the purpose and function of various devices, from simple vibrators to complex, app-controlled gadgets. Zara struggled to comprehend how these items, which seemed to prioritize pleasure over procreation, fit into human reproductive practices. As Alex demonstrated a particularly advanced device, describing its multiple functions and settings, Zara couldn't contain her astonishment any longer. Fascinating, and humans use these regularly in their mating rituals. Alex chuckled, misinterpreting Zara's genuine curiosity as playful naivety. Mating rituals? I guess you could call it that. But yeah, toys like these are pretty common. They help people explore their desires, enhance intimacy with partners, or just have a good time solo. Zara's mind was spinning. The implications were staggering. Humans had developed an entire industry dedicated to enhancing pleasure in their reproductive activities. This went far beyond mere biological imperatives. It spoke to a level of creativity, innovation, and emphasis on individual satisfaction that was utterly foreign to Zara's species. Unable to resist, Zara purchased several items, including the advanced device Alex had demonstrated. She justified it to herself as necessary for her research, but deep down, she felt a flutter of excitement at the prospect of examining these strange objects more closely. As she left the shop, her bags discreetly packaged, Zara's communicator buzzed. It was a message from her superiors at the Galactic Research Institute. Anthropologist Zara, your preliminary report has caused quite a stir. The concept of love driving reproductive practices is fascinating. We eagerly await more detailed findings on human mating rituals and technology. Your mission is now top priority. Zara glanced down at her bags, a mix of anticipation and anxiety washing over her. She had stumbled upon something far more significant than she had initially realized. These sex toys could revolutionize her people's understanding of human sexuality and reproduction. As she hurried back to her hidden spacecraft to examine her purchases more closely, Zara's mind raced with questions. How did these devices fit into the human concept of love? Were they truly as commonplace as Alex had suggested? And most importantly, how would her superiors react when they learned this discovery? Little did Zara know, her report on these reproductive aids would set off a chain of events that would not only change her own perceptions forever, but potentially alter the course of intergalactic relations. Back in her ship, Zara carefully unpacked her purchases, laying them out on her examination table. She picked up the most advanced device, turning it over in her hands. It hummed to life at her touch, its smooth surface pulsing with a soft, warm light. Computer, Zara called out, begin new research log. Subject, human reproductive technology. As she began her detailed examination and analysis, Zara couldn't shake the feeling that she was on the brink of a discovery that would change everything. The complexity and sophistication of these devices spoke to a level of importance in human culture that she had yet to fully grasp. Hours passed as Zara meticulously documented every feature and function of her new acquisitions. She cross-referenced her findings with her existing knowledge of human anatomy and the limited information she had on their reproductive practices. The more she learned, the more questions arose. Why would a species invest so much time and resources into devices that seemed to prioritize pleasure over procreation? How did this fit with their concept of love? And perhaps most puzzlingly, why did humans seem to shroud these items in secrecy and embarrassment, given their apparent ubiquity? As the Earth's sun began to set, casting a warm glow through the ship's cloaked exterior, Zara finally sat back, her mind whirling with new information and theories. She had to know more. She needed to understand how these devices fit into real human relationships. With a determined nod, Zara made a decision. Tomorrow, she would seek out Sarah, the friendly human she had met in the coffee shop. Surely, a native perspective could help shed light on this perplexing aspect of human culture. As she prepared her report for the Galactic Research Institute, Zara felt a thrill of excitement. She was on the cusp of a breakthrough, she was sure of it. Little did she know, her discoveries were about to spark a galactic misunderstanding of epic proportions. The report sent, Zara settled in for the night, her dreams filled with strange, pulsing devices and the enigmatic concept of human love. Tomorrow promised to be another day of startling discoveries in the complex, chaotic, and utterly captivating world of human relationships. Cultural exchange. The morning sun peeked through the holographic camouflage of Zara's spacecraft, casting shimmering patterns across her iridescent skin. She had barely slept, her mind buzzing with questions about her recent discoveries. As she activated her human disguise and prepared to venture out, her communicator chimed with an urgent message from the Galactic Research Institute. Anthropologist Zara, your latest report on human reproductive technology has caused unprecedented excitement. The High Council is convening an emergency session to discuss potential applications. Continue your research with utmost diligence. The fate of our species may depend on your findings. Zara's antenna twitched nervously beneath her holographic hair. The weight of her mission suddenly felt heavier than ever. She needed more information, and fast. As she made her way to the local coffee shop, hoping to find Sarah, Zara couldn't help but notice the humans around her in a new light. Couples walked hand in hand, sharing secret smiles. Friends greeted each other with warm hugs. Even strangers exchanged friendly nods. Was this all part of their complex mating rituals? Were these public displays somehow connected to the private use of those intriguing devices she had discovered? Lost in thought, Zara nearly collided with someone exiting the coffee shop. "Whoa there!" a friendly voice exclaimed, steadying her. Zara looked up to see Sarah, her face bright with recognition. "It's you. The anthropologist, right? I was hoping I'd run into you again." Zara felt an odd flutter in her chest, which she quickly dismissed as a malfunction in her holographic systems. "Sarah, yes, I was hoping to speak with you further about human relationships." Sarah's eyes twinkled with amusement. "Well, you've certainly come to the right person. I happen to be a relationship counselor. Why don't we grab a coffee and chat?" As they settled into a cozy corner of the shop, Zara took a deep breath. "Sarah, I need to ask you about something specific, something that might be considered private in human culture." Sarah leaned in, her expression open and encouraging. "Go ahead. I promise, as a counselor, I've heard it all." Zara lowered her voice, glancing around nervously. "I recently visited a shop called Pleasure Palace." To Zara's surprise, Sarah burst out laughing. "Oh, honey, did you stumble into your first sex shop? No wonder you looked so flustered yesterday when we talked about relationships." Encouraged by Sarah's openness, Zara pressed on. "These devices, they're for reproduction, yes, but also for pleasure. I'm having trouble understanding their role in human relationships." Sarah's expression softened. "Ah, I see. Well, it's complicated. Yes, those toys can be used to enhance pleasure, both alone and with partners. But they're not necessarily for reproduction. In fact, humans often use them specifically to enjoy sexual pleasure without the risk of reproduction." Zara's eyes widened. "But why? Isn't the purpose of mating to produce offspring?" "For some species, maybe," Sarah chuckled. "But for humans, sex isn't just about making babies. It's about connection, intimacy, pleasure, stress relief. It's a fundamental part of many romantic relationships, even when reproduction isn't the goal." As Sarah continued to explain, painting a picture of human sexuality that was far more complex and nuanced than anything in Zara's research, the alien anthropologist felt her worldview shifting. The idea of physical intimacy as an expression of emotional connection, of pleasure for its own sake, of the myriad ways humans had found to explore and enhance their sexual experiences, it was revolutionary. But how does this relate to love? Zara asked, still struggling to connect the dots. Sarah smiled warmly. Love, sex, intimacy, they're all intertwined for humans, but not always in the ways you might expect. Some people have deeply loving relationships without any sexual component. Others enjoy sex without romantic love. And for many, sexual intimacy is a way to express and deepen their love for each other. As their conversation continued, touching on topics from the psychology of attraction to the social constructs around monogamy and alternative relationship structures, Zara felt as if she was finally beginning to grasp the beautiful complexity of human relationships. Hours passed, the coffee shop emptied and filled again, but Zara and Sarah remained deep in conversation. Zara shared sanitized versions of her own culture's approach to reproduction, presenting them as hypothetical scenarios. Sarah, ever the thoughtful counselor, offered insights that made Zara question everything she had ever known about interpersonal connections. As the sun began to set, casting a warm glow through the coffee shop windows, Sarah checked her watch and gasped. "Oh my, we've been talking for hours. I'm so sorry, I have a client I need to get to." Zara felt an unfamiliar pang in her chest. Was this disappointment? "Of course. Thank you, Sarah. You've given me so much to think about." Sarah smiled, reaching out to squeeze Zara's hand. The touch sent an electric shock through Zara's holographic skin. "I've enjoyed this so much. Would you like to continue our chat over dinner tomorrow? There's this great little restaurant I know." "Yes," Zara blurted out, surprising herself with her enthusiasm. "I mean, yes, that would be most informative for my research." As they parted ways, Zara's mind was awhirl with new information and unfamiliar emotions. She had come to Earth to study human reproduction, but she was discovering something far more profound: the intricate dance of human relationships, the complex interplay of love, intimacy, and personal connection. Back in her spacecraft, Zara began to compose her report to the Galactic Research Institute, but as she tried to put her discoveries into words, she found herself hesitating. How could she possibly convey the depth and breadth of human emotional and physical intimacy in cold, scientific terms? For the first time in her career, Zara decided to withhold information from her superiors. She needed more time, more understanding, and perhaps a small voice in the back of her mind whispered she needed to experience some of this human connection for herself. As she drifted off to sleep, Zara's dreams were filled with swirling images of intertwined hands, warm embraces, and Sarah's kind eyes. Tomorrow's dinner couldn't come soon enough. Little did Zara know, her decision to delve deeper into the world of human relationships would set off a chain of events that would challenge everything she thought she knew about love, connection, and her own place in the universe. The misunderstanding. The anticipation of her dinner with Sarah had Zara's holographic skin flickering with excitement. As she prepared to leave her cloaked spacecraft, an urgent transmission from the Galactic Research Institute blazed across her communication panel. "Anthropologist Zara, your discoveries have revolutionized our understanding of human reproduction. The High Council has dispatched an envoy to Earth to acquire samples of this groundbreaking pleasure technology. Prepare for their arrival within 24 Earth hours. Your mission is now classified as top priority." Zara's antennae quivered beneath her holographic hair. This was not good at all. As she made her way to the restaurant, her mind raced. How could she explain to her superiors that they had completely misunderstood the purpose of sex toys? That human reproduction was far more complex than they had imagined. The restaurant was a cozy little place with soft lighting and intimate booths. Sarah waved from a corner table, her smile brightening as Zara approached. "You look lovely," Sarah said, her eyes twinkling. Zara felt an odd flutter in her chest. Was her hologram malfunctioning again? "Thank you," she managed, sliding into the booth. "You also appear aesthetically pleasing." Sarah laughed, a sound that sent tingles down Zora's spine. Always a scientist, aren't you? Let's see if we can't loosen you up a bit. Waiter, 2 glasses of your best wine, please. As they sipped their drinks, Zara found herself captivated by Sarah's stories. Tales of love found and lost, of human resilience in the face of heartbreak, of the joy of deep connections. With each anecdote, each burst of laughter, Zara felt something shifting inside her. You know, Sarah said, leaning in close, for someone studying human relationships, you seem awfully inexperienced yourself. Have you ever been in love, Zara? Zara froze, her wine glass halfway to her lips. I'm not sure I understand the concept fully, she admitted. Sarah's eyes softened. Oh, honey. Love isn't something you understand. It's something you feel. She reached across the table, taking Zara's hand in hers. It's that flutter in your chest when someone special walks into the room. It's wanting to share every moment, every thought with them. It's feeling like you'd move mountains just to see them smile. Zara's breath caught in her throat. The warmth of Sarah's hand, the intensity of her gaze. Was this what humans called chemistry? Just then, a commotion outside shattered the moment. Zara looked out the window and felt her blood run cold. A sleek, silver spacecraft was descending from the sky, its cloaking device clearly malfunctioning. Oh no, Zara whispered. They're early. Sarah followed her gaze, her eyes widening. Zara, what's going on? Before Zara could respond, the restaurant door burst open. 3 tall, willowy figures strode in, their iridescent skin shimmering even through their flickering holograms. Anthropologist Zara, the leader announced, his voice echoing unnaturally. We have come to acquire the human pleasure technology. Take us to this pleasure palace at once. The restaurant fell silent. All eyes turned to Zara, who felt her carefully constructed world crumbling around her. Sarah stood up slowly, her eyes never leaving Zara's face. Zara, who are you? What's really going on here? Zara looked from Sarah to her fellow aliens, then back to Sarah. In that moment, she made a decision that would change the course of intergalactic relations forever. I'm so sorry, she said, deactivating her hologram. Her true form shimmered into view. Tall, iridescent, unmistakably alien. Gasps echoed through the restaurant. I can explain everything. What followed was the most surreal hour in human history. As news crews descended on the restaurant, Zara found herself mediating between panicked humans, overeager alien scientists, and a very confused Sarah. So let me get this straight, Sarah said, rubbing her temples. You're an alien anthropologist who came to study human reproduction. You discovered sex toys and thought they were some kind of advanced reproductive technology. And now your people want to, what? Trade for vibrators. Zara nodded miserably. I'm so sorry for the deception, Sarah. I never meant for things to go this far. I wanted to understand. To Zara's surprise, Sarah burst out laughing. Oh my God, this is the most ridiculous first date I've ever been on. As the night wore on, an impromptu cultural exchange unfolded. Zara and her fellow aliens explained their society's clinical approach to reproduction. Humans, led by the ever-patient Sarah, gave a crash course in love, relationships, and the true purpose of sex toys. By dawn, treaties were being drafted. The aliens, fascinated by the concept of pleasure for its own sake, were eager to learn more about human emotional connections. Humans, thrilled at first contact, were full of questions about alien culture and technology. And in the midst of it all, Zara and Sarah found their hands intertwined, sharing secret smiles as the world changed around them. As the sun rose on a new era of human-alien relations, Zara realized she had discovered something far more valuable than any technology. She'd have found connection, understanding, and just maybe, the first stirrings of what humans called love. Little did anyone know, this bizarre misunderstanding about sex toys would lead to a golden age of intergalactic cooperation, with Earth becoming known as the love gurus of the galaxy. And it all started with one curious alien and her journey into the complex, beautiful mess of human relationships. Humanity's triumph. The days following the impromptu first contact at the restaurant were a whirlwind of activity. Earth's governments scrambled to establish diplomatic relations with the newly revealed alien civilization, while media outlets worldwide buzzed with sensational headlines. Alien invasion or intergalactic tindermississippi. E.T. Feoni etonen. For dating ADVIC. VIBRATORS. The unexpected KEOI to world peace. Amidst the chaos, Zara found herself at the center of a storm she never could have anticipated. Her mission had evolved from a simple anthropological study into a full-blown cultural exchange program, with she and Sarah as its unlikely ambassadors. The Galactic Research Institute, initially embarrassed by the misunderstanding, quickly recognized the potential for groundbreaking research. They dispatched a team of their top scientists to Earth, eager to learn more about the complex interplay of emotions, physical intimacy, and technology in human relationships. Meanwhile, humanity's innate curiosity and adaptability shone through. Instead of panicking at the revelation of alien life, people around the world embraced the opportunity to learn and share. Social media exploded with memes, TikTok challenges, and viral videos as humans attempted to explain love, dating, and relationships to their new alien friends. One video, in particular, caught fire across the internet. Hey alien pals, welcome to Earth 101, Dating Edition. First tip, Netflix and chill doesn't actually mean watching Netflix and relaxing. It means, well, ask your alien elders. The video racked up billions of views within hours, spawning countless parodies and reaction videos from both humans and aliens alike. As the dust began to settle, the United Nations convened a special session to address the newfound interstellar relations. Zara and Sarah were invited to speak, their unlikely friendship serving as a symbol of the potential for understanding between their species. Standing before the assembly, hand in hand, Zara and Sarah shared their story. Zara spoke of her initial confusion, her growing understanding, and the profound impact that human concepts of love and connection had had on her. Sarah, with her characteristic warmth and humor, recounted the bizarre first date that had changed the course of human history. Who knew, she quipped, but the key to world peace was hidden in our bedside drawers all along. The chamber erupted in laughter and applause. It was a moment of levity that broke through the tension and uncertainty, reminding everyone of the shared capacity for joy and connection that united them, regardless of their planet of origin. As the session concluded, a framework for ongoing cultural exchange was established. Earth would share its knowledge of emotional intelligence, creative expression, and the myriad ways humans formed connections. In return, the aliens would offer insights into their advanced technology, particularly in the fields of space travel and environmental management. But perhaps the most surprising outcome was the boom in Earth's sex toy industry. Alien scientists, fascinated by the ingenuity and variety of human pleasure devices, began collaborating with Earth's top manufacturers. The result was a new line of products that promised out-of-this-world experiences, combining alien technology with human creativity. The first product in this line, chicly named the Cosmic Climax 3000, became an overnight sensation. Its tagline, "Discover pleasure that's light years ahead," captured the public's imagination and sense of humor. Amidst all the excitement and rapid changes, Zara and Sarah found themselves navigating their own evolving relationship. The unique circumstances of their meeting had fast-tracked an intimacy that both found exhilarating and a little terrifying. One evening, as they sat on the roof of Sarah's apartment building, watching the stars and the occasional alien spacecraft zipping across the sky, Sarah turned to Zara with a serious expression. "You know," she said, her voice soft, "when I became a relationship counselor, I never imagined I'd be giving advice on interspecies dating." Zara's iridescent skin shimmered with amusement, "And I never imagined I'd be the one seeking such advice. We make quite the pair, don't we?" Sarah laughed, leaning her head on Zara's shoulder. That we do. So, oh wise alien anthropologist, what have you learned about love in your time on Earth? Zara was quiet for a moment, considering. I've learned that it's messy and complicated and often defies logical explanation. I've learned that it can be joyous and painful, often at the same time. But most of all, she said, turning to meet Sarah's eyes, I've learned that it's worth it. That connection, true connection, is the most valuable thing in the universe. Sarah's eyes glistened with unshed tears. Look at you, talking about emotions like a pro. I'd say your research has been a smashing success. As they leaned in for a kiss, a shooting star streaked across the sky. Or perhaps it was just another alien tourist, come to visit the planet that had become famous across the galaxy as a haven of love, pleasure, and connection. In the years that followed, Earth became a popular destination for beings from across the cosmos, all seeking to understand the unique human approach to relationships and intimacy. Intergalactic dating apps boomed, cultural exchange programs flourished, and a new era of understanding dawned. And it all started because one curious alien anthropologist walked into a sex shop and jumped to some very wrong conclusions. As Zara often joked in the many interviews and talk show appearances that followed, I came to Earth looking for advanced reproductive technology. Instead, I found love. And really, isn't that the most advanced technology of all? The studio audience would always laugh and applaud, but Sarah, watching from the wings, knew the truth behind Zara's words. In the vast, often cold expanse of the universe, they had found each other. And that, truly, was the greatest discovery of all.